This SoonerScoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. From the big plays to life's everyday moments, see it all in sharp focus with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIKs.
Yeah, I looked up and I was like, there's Brent. I gave him a sideline pass. Yeah, I went over and I said, what do you think they're going to call right here on 2nd and 14? He's like, probably a screener draw. It's probably a screener draw. You know, so I love Brent.
Think of Dabo's impression of you.
I was told about it. I haven't heard it. He's got me down. He's got about everybody down when he's good at the impressions, but I don't think it was 4th down. It was a different situation. I think it was 2nd extra long, but that's neither here nor there.
Brent Venables on Monday. Welcome back. Eddie Rodosovich, George Stoya here from the SoonerScoop.com studios in Alabama Monday for you. A little bit of a different schedule this week. Obviously, everything pushed up with Tuesday and the Board of Regents meeting coming up on Tuesday afternoon. The stadium expansion, all that kind of stuff expected to get pushed through on Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, and we'll have more details, obviously, from that. Hopefully, talk to Joe Castiglione, maybe President Joe Harris, and we might do a show on that or include it in the next practice report. But big week, Eddie. Obviously, the Board of Regents, they have to move the press conference. We talked to players tonight, which was good. We'll do another show about them, and then obviously the huge game on Saturday.
Of course, this is a William and Lauren practice report here on a Monday, kind of changing things up for you, but first off, before we get into everything with Oklahoma and Alabama, obviously a lot of good memories being elicited this week with everything that happened last year. Hopefully there's not another field storm, if you will, in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. I don't think that would go well for Oklahoma, but we must tell you about our good friends over at William & Lauren, the official custom clothier of OU football. William & Lauren outfits your favorite OU players in custom suits that boost their confidence off the field to match their confidence on the field. Their perfectly tailored clothing ensures every Sooner stands out in comfort and style at prices that make luxury accessible. You can visit William & Lauren in Oklahoma City, or you can do so up in the 918 in Tulsa at their brick and mortar, or online at williamandlauren.com. That is williamandlauren.com. Dress like a champion and make your style as legendary as OU football. Got a nice little meme.
That's
awesome. A meme?
A little graphic. We're going to need to print some stickers for that.
We can probably do that. Put them on the back of some cars around town here. I'm sure that they would like that. All right, we'll get into everything that Brent Venables had to say, as well as Ben Arbuckle from Monday. You can see both of their press conferences here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel, as per usual. And it's the kind of the basis here is the matchup of somewhat of a playoff experience already. I think Oklahoma, we talked to John Mateer on Monday night, you know what's coming. You win 3 games, you're going to be in good shape for the college football playoff. The other side of it, you drop a game, and all of a sudden it kind of
gets iffy.
It gets into a lot of iffies.
Yeah, there needs to be probably a lot of chaos to happen if Oklahoma were to lose. And I still think a team's probably going to get in at 9-3. You just hope that you're that one, but you can take care of business this weekend and take care of business at home, and all of a sudden you're in, right? There is no up for debate. Oklahoma would get in. So this is a huge week, and even for Alabama, obviously everybody has them kind of penciled in, but all of a sudden if they lose this game, and maybe let's say they lose a rivalry game to Auburn, who looked pretty good this past week, and again, that would be kind of crazy. That'd be a lot of chaos. But this is a game that if Alabama wins, they're basically in the SEC championship game, and they're into the college football playoffs. So a lot at stake this weekend.
I don't know if this necessarily would count as anything like a revenge game, but certainly when you look at the way that Oklahoma won last year, 24-3, the final score here in Norman, you'll see the field storm that ensued, as well as Oklahoma winning the turnover battle. It was an ass whooping in some ways. It was definitely a where the hell did that come from type of performance for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, it was just totally out of the blue. I mean, Alabama came in number 8 in the country. They were playing good football, and Oklahoma really ruined their season, knocked them out of the playoffs. So I'm sure there's a few guys on that Alabama team that, some sour grapes, want some, quote-unquote revenge. But There's also a lot of guys that I'm sure are new, and also you have a new offensive coordinator in Ryan Grubb, new quarterback in Ty Simpson, who I know was on the team a year ago, but he doesn't turn the ball over. Jalen Milroe helped them a lot last year, Oklahoma that is, by giving them the football, and obviously the pick six by Kip Lewis and all of that. So this is a different Alabama team, a better Alabama team, also a better Oklahoma team. I mean, that Oklahoma team was terrible last year. They should have never beat Alabama. So it's going to be a fun matchup, and obviously being in Tuscaloosa, I didn't realize it's their homecoming, which I guess some of the players
definitely made a point on Monday night with some of the players. We'll recap everything the players had to say on Tuesday, but yeah, that was definitely something that
I found that a little odd.
It definitely caught my ears, and I'm sure that it caught their attention. Certainly being labeled as I know Eli Bowen kind of talked about it just in terms of they scheduled us for a reason talking about Oklahoma, which neither here nor there. Here is Brent Venables. Is it a revenge game this weekend?
I don't think that a year ago, good or bad. I've never carried over wins and losses. You learn from all of it, but, I think it can paralyze you, by holding on to something. Motivated, yeah, but I think the motivation for everybody is because what the opportunity is sitting in front of us. It's a top 10 matchup, and there's a lot that's on the line. The season for both of us, is impacted by the result, at the end of the night. So, they're different, we're different. Certainly it's at their place, but who wouldn't be excited to play Oklahoma, Alabama? Going to be on a huge stage. Again, as I opened up, two iconic programs, two of the winningest programs in college football history, certainly the top two since World War II. And I think that's in itself enough to get excited about.
Now, during Oklahoma's, I guess, resurgence, if you will, coming out of the Texas game, it's certainly one of the talking points early in the season has been, where's this run game? And it certainly has come together. I know we talked a lot about it last week during the bye week with Eddie Pierre-Louis, Brian Foje, Michael Fasusi. A lot to like on the front for the Oklahoma offensive line in terms of the freshmen. But overall, it seems like it is a work in progress, but it has continued to take a step each week.
Yeah, I feel like it's gotten better, and like you said, in the run game, they've been really good. And the stat that Brent keeps throwing out there is, I think they're third in the SEC in the last 3 weeks in rushing yards, and that's a great step in the right direction. Now, are they rushing for 200 yards a game? No, but they found something. And in this league, if you can run for around 150 yards per game, that's pretty good. You'll take that. And especially when you have a quarterback like John Mateer, who obviously is, struggled a little bit, has been injured. It feels like they found something in Xavier Robinson, and that's a credit to, I think, Ben Arbuckle and some of the play calling stuff, but also I think this offensive line and those young guys who've kind of been thrown into the fire, but have kind of brought this spark to that group up front.
Also have to add in that Xavier Robinson's obviously been running the football well. We'll talk about him here in a second. Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle, talking a little bit more just on the run game and especially the offensive line that has played much better here over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it's huge for their confidence. But, every single one of those guys, those young guys, they've been bought in since the beginning. They take coaching really well. They bring it every single day at practice. They have a different just kind of youthful energy at practice at all times. And so everything that they have done in games is just a culmination of how quickly they're able to learn, retain knowledge, and then learn from their young mistakes, whether it's through spring ball, fall camp, earlier on in the season, just their ability to adapt to what college football is. But they're talented kids, they're great kids, they're smart kids. Coach Bedenbaugh's done an awesome job just preparing those guys, getting them ready to play. And, got to keep on developing, get better, and get ready for this week.
Confident, physical at the point of attack, and still improving that way. They've gained confidence through a lot of hard work. I think being together as well, having some success, helps build a little bit of a rhythm and the confidence as well. They haven't been perfect, but it's a group that has shown that they've learned from some of the issues that they've had. And again, all their best days are still in front of them. So there's a lot that goes into that offensive line success. It's the back, it's the tight ends, the quarterback, getting them in and out of the right runs or protections, things of that nature. And but it's a group that's slowly coming along, and it's been a big deal these last 3 games, having the opportunity to go in the fourth quarter late in the game and have a chance to win because of the improvement and the success that group, has shown. And I think the last 3 games were, I think, in the top 3 in the SEC and in our efficiency at running the football. So I think that's just I think it's a reflection of just steady improvement, and but still got a lot of work to do there too.
Back to the offensive line, I know you always have a lot you want to accomplish with a bye week, but the first bye week seemed like it was as much about health and just getting everybody ramped back up. How different or not was this bye week when you've got some younger pieces that you're trying to build that chemistry and kind of keep pushing that momentum forward from a really good showing in Knoxville?
Yeah, you just have to demand a lot at practice. Again, like I said, the bye week, it's really easy for it to go one of 2 ways. It can go one way where the kids are like, oh man, it's the bye week, I'm gonna get through it, enjoy my vacation, come back ready to work after that. Or it can go the other way where it's, hey, we're attacking everything we do today. And I think the culture in our locker room and our building, and from our head football coach, it almost forces that number 2, which is the best. And it's no different with Coach Bedenbaugh and that offensive line. I thought we were able to do a lot of really good things to build off of what we've been able to do really the last month in that room. But at the same time, those are still some young kids in there. So being able to get them reps at things that they need to see from the past, or trying to predict the future of what they might see, just being able to get them looks at that stuff to keep on building experience was huge. But like I said, those kids really came and attacked the work and got after it, so I'm proud of them, and just excited to go play another ball game.
You caused a lot of chaos. You guys have been able to run the ball pretty well in some of these tough road environments. Just how much does that maybe build confidence going into an atmosphere like this, that maybe that momentum can carry?
It builds some confidence, and I still think we have so much that we have to get better at. But it goes back to what I've said a lot. Whenever you're able to run the football, everything seems to just become not easier, but you stay on schedule more and you're able to be more efficient. But it still ain't good enough. We got to get better. We have to keep on demanding it from our kids, demanding the strain at practice, because it will pay off during games, and we have to keep on improving in that area, because it helps everyone out. It helps the offense out, helps the defense out, helps the special teams out. It helps everyone out. So we just got to keep on getting better at it.
Might have to get one of those West Texas municipal lids. You can get them at Cavender's. In fact, to be honest, I just ordered it right now. I maybe started thinking about it. Talking about the offensive line, taking a lot of confidence out of it is one thing, and especially for some of that trio of young freshmen. Maybe the same could be said for somebody like a John Mateer, who's coming in off of second half against Tennessee, that he looked a lot closer to what I think a lot of people envisioned John Mateer to be, especially pre-injury.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it was his decision-making, right? It felt like he was a lot more crisp, whether that was throwing to the open guy or making some difficult throws, or even just staying in the pocket. It felt like in that first half against Tennessee, he got happy feet too often, and that's going to happen. I think that's just part of Mateer's game sometimes. He's got to clean that stuff up, but I do think that you just saw him look a lot more comfortable in, whether that was running the football and being elusive and scrambling and some of the quarterback run game stuff. He looked healthy. Or completing some passes down the field, like the one to Satania, down the sideline that ended up setting up a touchdown. So all of that looked great, and that can only, I would assume, boost his confidence. And then obviously the bye week, I think, was big for him. Last bye week, he was in LA getting hand surgery. This week, this past week, he was, working with the offense and, going through, whatever they're working on in fundamentals, and then also just relaxing and getting healthy. Here is Ben Arbuckle, Brent Venables talking about their quarterback going into Tuscaloosa. Take a quick time out from the practice report to tell you about our good friends over at Harry's. We've done so before, but Harry's now with the Harry's Plus. They just launched their brand new razor called the Harry's Plus, George, and I know that you've had experience with it. Tell us about it. Yeah, I actually got one of these goodies right here, but I actually need to shave, Eddie, but you can get this. What are they calling this, Eddie? The Harry's Plus? The 2-ounce foaming shave gel, I believe, is what that is. You get the whole kit. This is what the point is.
Harrys.com/SuitorScoop. You get the whole kit, the 2-ounce foaming shave gel, the travel cover to protect your blades on the go, and one refined 5-blade cartridge, as George is showing you there. The Harry's Plus trial set for only $10.
That's a heck of a deal.
With the promo code SuitorScoop, it is just $10 because I think it costs you a little bit more. A perfect stocking stuffer for the gentleman or lady in mind. For a limited time, the listeners will get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10. Harrys.com/SuitorScoop. We told you what it includes. Once again, it's Harrys.com/SuitorScoop to claim this offer after you purchase. They'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Thank you to our good friends over at Harry's. And if you haven't had enough of us yet, let us tell you about also our good friends over at Huel. Huel, listen, the mornings are chaos. We've told you about it before. I got the shaker. I can throw in some of the powder into the shaker, and it's on the go. Kill it before I try to, basically do radio, which is never a good deal. All you got to do is go to Huel.com/SuitorScoop and tell us about the greens there, George.
Yeah, these are definitely a favorite in my household. The peach and hibiscus here. You can get 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, 4 grams of fiber, and the electrolytes. I know my wife; she's big on the electrolytes.
And
so
only 25 calories in the greens. Once again, all you got to do is go to Huel.com/SuitorScoop. Thank you. Back to the practice report.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did some really good things in the Tennessee game, and then going into the bye week, a lot like our entire team, I thought our young men had a great mindset going into the bye week. There was no taking a break and let's just get these practices over with so we can get to our 3-day vacation. That wasn't a thing at all, and John was no different. These kids attacked the work every single day. I think we were able to make some improvements on just little things that we need to get better at for in order to go win the games, do what winning requires, and we were able to peel a little bit of that back. And John was no different. He attacked the work. He attacked his footwork, his communication, his consistency, really about the same way that he's done it all year, though. He's a process-driven kid, and he stuck to the process. Great leader throughout the bye week, and so just excited to watch him get to play more football.
I think it's important for any player, for the team, as you develop your identity and guys start to gain confidence as the season goes on from improving and going through the challenges of game day and everything that presents. You learn from all of it. I think John's got great self-awareness. We've got a team that's got a lot of awareness, and a team, John included, that want to be coached and willing to have truthful conversations so that you can improve and get better. And that's the only way you can do it is by going through it.
I think the South Carolina game did help us, because that wasn't an easy place to go, and they were a talented team, and we were able to play really efficient football, and he played really efficient football. So I think that prepared him for another road SEC test, and really did a lot of the same things. Was clean for the majority of the game with his eyes and his ball placement, his footwork. There's still a few things that you'd like to be a little bit better, but he played really efficient football, and except for a few things here or there, really played winning football the entirety of the day. So I think just being able to one, go to South Carolina, do that, go to Tennessee and do that, I think it just builds at least. I think for John, just builds a little bit of confidence that, hey, if I go do my job and I go execute, I can put us in a position to win the football game. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Figure out a way at the end to go win the game. And but I think those 2 prior games really help in the confidence of that. And I think it's important for the development of him and this team as a whole.
Seems like it's kind of close to just being a buzzword of the week, but confidence. Just in terms of the offensive line, the quarterback play, it's confidence going into Tuscaloosa. It's still going to be a mighty challenge, right? But at the very least, it feels like they're in the right front headed into this thing.
Yeah, and I think that they believe they can go win this game. And I don't know, Eddie, I don't know if you've seen the line today. It's dropped down to 5.5 for this game. So I think it's going to be another really close game. Obviously, Oklahoma's played in a ton of one-score, one-possession type of games this year. That would, you would think, help lend a hand to Oklahoma in this game if it does get tight. But I think the way that they've been able to, go on the road, not only to Tennessee, but also even to South Carolina and take care of business and play well against a good football team, I think that should provide some confidence. Now, I think Alabama's the best team Oklahoma will have played this year, probably will play this year, so it's a tremendous challenge. But coming off a win like the one against Tennessee, I think that should only build up your confidence, especially on that side of the ball. On offense, you're able to score as many points as you were. You found some success. I think that's certainly something you can build on.
Certainly, when you're talking about the two places that they have won, obviously, on the season, in terms of Columbia, a place that Alabama somewhat struggled, right? The week after Oklahoma went there and won. And then obviously last week with Tennessee, there's a lot of confidence going into this, and we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Not so much. Casey Keeler's done a good job with the Temple Owls, although they did get beat on Saturday in West Point in a game that I believe had 5 possessions in the game.
Yeah, I think Army...
Or 5 possessions in the second half.
Army finished the game on an 8-minute drive.
They did,
the game.
and they just tore their heart out. And by there, I mean we. Temple, come on now. All right, let's talk both sides of the football. We'll highlight 2 players from each side. And one of the guys that we talked to on Monday night, and Caden Helms, certainly has, it seems like, gotten his career going at Oklahoma after just injury after injury. And we talked to him about it on Monday night. It could have been very easy for him to kind of throw his hands up in the air and say that he's not doing this anymore. Stuck with it. He's been a helper in the Oklahoma run game, part of this recipe that has found something on the ground.
Yeah, he's been their best run blocker at tight end, and that's really helped them in the run game, because that's a group, obviously, that we've said most of the season, hey, just take him off the field.
Yeah, I think after the, Texas game, it was basically just take him off the field and just spread everything out.
And now it's hey, you can see Caden Helms on the field and feel confident that he can get the job done and what they're asking him to do. And it's just a great story. I'm sure we'll get into Caden more in a different practice report, but it's awesome to see him kind of finally come to fruition with his career at Oklahoma, and I'm sure it's very rewarding for him. But he's become a key part of the offense, and it's been good to see, and it's obviously helped them be able to run the football.
A main character at all of this run game resurgence has been Xavier Robinson.
Yep.
Still haven't talked to him yet. Xavier, you can come in and talk to us anytime. But he's been fantastic, and it's a lot closer to the guy that we saw at the end of last season that played a big part in a game like the Alabama game a season ago.
It's just he gets better every time he touches the football, and it's very similar to what happened last year late in the year. He was kind of really their only offense, and that's not the case right now. I think that they still have some stuff in the passing game, but he certainly helped them, right? The ability to run the football the last couple of weeks. I mean, he brought them all the way back in the Ole Miss game, and then obviously the Tennessee game, he closed that thing out. So he's been really good, and when you can turn around and hand the ball off and feel good about him getting some yards, then that obviously helps your offense. And I think he's also the type of back, when you look at his size, his athleticism, it's kind of the kind of running back that you want in the SEC.
Here is Ben Arbuckle talking about Caden Helms, as well as Brent Venables talking about Xavier Robinson.
I mean, he's an older guy. I know he's battled through some injuries and stuff, but he's an older guy. He's practiced a lot of football. So he comes with a great maturity about him to what practice is, and he brings it every day in practice. I mean, he's constantly being physical, going as hard as he can, straining through the echo of the whistle, and that stuff translates to game day, and that stuff helps the run game. Way back when, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, whenever I was getting asked about the run game, and I said it's not just the O-line, it's everybody. I mean, that's a prime example of how it's everybody. Caden Helms and Carson Kent and Jaron Canick, they're all the same way, but we had to get better at it, and we had to get better at those 3 things that I just mentioned: straining through the whistle, being physical, being violent, and doing that at practice and taking it to the game. And Caden exemplifies that. He's come in since his hand got better, been a willing practice guy out there, really been almost a standard of what you need to be at practice, and I think it's translated to game day really well. And I'm really proud of him. I'm just proud of the football that he's playing and the amount of football he's getting to play, because I know that means a lot to him, just because he's been hurt a lot throughout his career. So it's just really fun to see for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's gaining confidence. He was missed some time during fall camp early in the season, was banged up, and he's a very instinctual runner, runs good and strong and tough behind his pads. Got great feet and a good natural feel how to set up blockers. And again, he's just a sophomore. And so his best football still in front of him. He's becoming a complete back when it comes to, protection and understanding the entirety of the offense. He's a good weapon out in space. He's a load to handle out in space, when he catches the ball and gets vertical as well. So he has great balance, hard to, knock off his feet. And got to take care of the ball. That's a big part. These guys are going to come hawking at the football. And he'll be the first one to, tell you that. He's got to continue to improve with, ball security. He's done a pretty good job, but again, that was a huge one. We got 1st and 10, in a scoring position 2 weeks ago. And but he's worked really hard, for his opportunity, stayed ready, and shows when you do that, he's made the most of his opportunity.
Xavier Robinson, 18 carries, 107 yards, 5.9 per carry a year ago, 2 touchdowns against Alabama. Certainly will figure into the mix, you would hope, come Saturday afternoon. Let's flip it to the other side of the football and the defensive side. And 2 guys that particularly interesting. One of them because he might be introduced to a lot more snaps here over the last couple of weeks, and talking about Danny Okoye. Certainly, you asked Brent Venables on Monday about the status of R. Mason Thomas, obviously going into this one with the injury that he had in Knoxville 2 weeks ago, and also Grayson Halton, who's just continued constant, you could say, for a defensive line that's obviously had an extremely good season.
Yeah, I mean, Grayson's been just an anchor in a lot of ways. And you've got some young guys, David Stone, Jaden Jackson, who are obviously playing really well, but Grayson being a senior, and even Dominic Williams too, but Grayson's been here 4 years, and you can tell he's just gotten better and better throughout his career, but he's been so good for him, and they're going to need him. If R. Mason Thomas can't go, like that pass rush, Grayson Halton's been one of the best, and I know he's an interior guy versus R. Mason on the edge, but he's been really good. And then Danny Okoye, I think he's going to play more and more, and R. Mason Thomas, we'll see.
Let's go there real quick. I just don't know right now. I think he's going to try to play, but that's a different story than can he play and can he produce if he's on the field.
Exactly. And, when you're dealing with a quad, what makes R. Mason so good is his speed, his explosiveness off the edge, to be able to get off the ball so quickly, his bend and all of those things. Like, quad is not exactly a good injury to have when you're trying to do those things. So, like you said, I imagine he's going to try. We'll see how much he practices this week, but he's also got the NFL to think about and everything that goes into that, the combine. And I'm not saying he's just going to sit out. I think he wants to play, but all of those things are factored. But if he can't go, you do like a Danny Okoye. I know he obviously hasn't played the snaps that R. Mason has, but he's shown flashes of being a great player, and he, is expected to be kind of that R. Mason Thomas next year for Oklahoma. Might have to be a little bit early.
We talked to Brent Venables. He talked about both of these guys on Monday. Yeah. See, the change is really screwing me up here. Here is Brent Venables talking about Danny Okoye as well as Grayson Halton.
Really hungry. He's got a ton of energy. Loves to be coached. Shows up every day with just a willingness to go to work. Obviously, you saw a small snapshot. We see him every day, and a guy that has a chance to have a great future. And but he's really taken another big step from a confidence and a consistency standpoint. At defensive end, Coach Chavis done a great job. Danny's done a great job of working and just improving, from his foundation where he started and playing the level of football that he played to where he's at now. It's just incredibly exciting. But he's a really disruptive, explosive player.
What stood out to you most about his development, especially this year, and the way that he's attacked that?
Yeah, just, again, full of energy, very passionate. He's developed into a leader, so he's got a little more centralized focus to him, where maybe in the past he's a little bit messy. He cares about the program. He's heavily invested. Was a tremendous athlete when he got here. Played defensive end, was a tight end mainly in high school, and he's really worked hard to to develop, put on the size he needs to so that he can hold up at the point of attack. He took a huge step a year ago in his ability to both rush the passer and play against the run with his block rec, his pad level, just his explosiveness again at the point of attack and his ability to anchor. So those have taken big steps over the last 12 to 16 months. And but the most notable change for him is just how he's really matured into a fantastic, emotional, well-versed leader. When he speaks in front of the team, the guys listen, and so they do that because of the amount of time, effort, and energy he's put in, to his career. And again, he cares about the locker room and the team, this team's opportunity. So couldn't be more proud of him and the way he's really just kind of grown up here the last several years. And then he's got a very unique skill set when it comes to rushing the passer and getting off on the rock. So he's playing his best football at the end of his career, which is right on time for most guys.
Kind of both ends of the spectrum there. Danny Okoye's obviously getting his career going at Oklahoma. Grayson Halton getting to the end of it. Certainly hopes that there's more than 3 games or 4 games left with the bowl game and or a college football playoff appearance. Should be kind of fun to see how this thing ends out. Obviously, we started the program today with Dabo talking about Brent Venables, and it was a unique opportunity. Oklahoma with their second bye week of the year. It worked out to where Brent Venables, I'm sure that as a lot of you are out there online saw, he was able to go to Clemson over the weekend, and kind of a unique experience for him to be able to sit back and watch his son, Tyler Venables, finish out his career. Obviously, it wasn't senior day, but we're getting close to the end of his career at Clemson.
Yeah, I'm sure it's one of the few times that Brent's been able to actually watch his son in person play. Sure. At least, obviously, the last few years. And not coaching him all the way back to 2020, right? Exactly. So, really cool opportunity. And I saw some OU fans, losers, in my opinion, being mad that Brent was wearing Clemson stuff and at that game. And it's like, man, he's a dad. And obviously, like, he's going to support his son, no matter who he plays for. But also, it's a program, in Clemson that means a lot to the Venables family. So I thought it was super cool that he was able to go and watch his son. And like you said, it wasn't senior day. I think it was their second to last home game. Obviously, do they play South Carolina? Is that their... No, I think they play at South Carolina. But anyways, being able to go, I thought it was really cool. And hearing Brent talk about how proud he is of Tyler, and it sounds like he wants to get into coaching and following his dad's footsteps. Like, it was a pretty cool moment to kind of hear Brent, talk about that. Should have added it into this program, but just hearing Tyler Venables talk to the media after the game, it was like, oh my God, this is Brent 2.0. Yeah, certainly. Here is Brent Venables a little bit more on his experience being able to go back to Clemson over the weekend.
Yeah, well, I don't get very much of an opportunity to do that, if at all. So it's fun, to be there, for him and his moment, his journey. Being a coach, sometimes everything's about you and your career, and the family kind of follows suit. So thankful that I had the opportunity to do that. What's it like? I mean, it's a very relaxing place. It's when it comes to being able to just be dad and not make it about you. So it was good.
But what was the kind of conversations with him where he wanted to stay at Clemson, finish his career there now in his 6th year, rather than maybe come here with you?
Yeah. Well, he was like, what should I do, Dad? I'm like, well, this is your decision. These are, this is what kind of going from boyhood to manhood's all about. I said, you got to, follow your dreams. This is mine. And, he worked hard for his opportunity there. All of his best friends were there. He had established himself as a leader and player there. Might have been a girl that kept him there too. I don't know. You have to ask him. No, she's great, but a lot goes into that. And would I have loved to see him every day? Selfishly speaking, absolutely. But I think as Julie and I look back at it, we've seen more growth and maturity that's taken place in the several years that we've been here, where things aren't as comfortable, for him having mom and dad right there, and you just got to kind of figure out things and build your own opportunity in your own name, so to speak. It's been a lot of fun for us to watch that take place.
Certainly a proud dad there.
Yeah.
That you often don't get that side of Brent Venables talking about his family like that. So I thought it was cool. And yes, losers for sure if you were mad about him wearing Clemson stuff. All right. Board of Regents coming up on Tuesday morning. Everything's expected to be kind of pushed through, I guess would be the lack of better terms, approved by the Board of Regents for the stadium expansion, all that kind of stuff we talked about. You've reported on it. We'll have more on SoonerScoop.com as well as here possibly on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel, and another William and Lauren practice report coming up on Tuesday as well as we roll into Tuesday of OU Alabama week. Looking forward to it. This is going to be we talked about how big last week was, or 2 weeks ago, going to Neyland. It feels like this one is like that times 10, if you will, just for all the importance that goes into the final road game of the season.
I mean, yeah, and we've joked about it all season. Every week's the biggest game, and it's like, well, they've gotten to this point. They've made it to where every week continues to be a big game, and
even in the middle of November, right?
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, this time last year, we were talking about people being fired, and we were joking. The Board of Regents meeting this time a year ago, I was going to ask, President Joe Harris and the Board of Regents their confidence in Brent Venables as head coach.
Sure.
Now they're playing in a game that pretty much, if you can go win, if you can go beat Alabama, you're getting into the playoff.
At the very least, taking one step closer.
Or at least, assuming that you take care of business at home. So it's good for Oklahoma, obviously, in the program, and it's going to be a fun week because this is a massive challenge for OU.
More from the players after practice on Monday for another William and Lauren practice report on Tuesday. Also talked to Porter Moser and Nigel Pack talking OU basketball. They're headed over to the McCaslin Fieldhouse on Tuesday night to take on Arkansas Pine Bluff. Rough one up in Spokane over the weekend.
Not great.
I think some lessons to be learned about rebounding the basketball. They certainly kind of identified that as one of the areas of importance moving forward.
Good. That's good.
For George Stoya. Oh, by the way, OU women on Monday night.
Big game.
While you're watching this, you can check in on Jenny Baranchek and crew taking on UCLA on
Huge
Monday
game.
night out in Sacramento at the Golden One Center. Golden One Center.
Light the beam.
Yeah, that's what they do, isn't it?
Yep.
Kind of weird. Kings suck. All right, for George, I'm Eddie. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.